Hey folks, and welcome to Subjective Thoughts. And our book for today is Keeper of the Lost Cities by Shannon Messenger. This is the first book in the Keeper of the Lost Cities series, and the publisher is there we go, Simon and Schuster. Oh, I have heard of them before, I think. Alright, so that's the publisher. Now there is fighting, torture, powers, what else? Fights, attempted murder. Yeah, you can say that. Secrets, rebels, and blood too in this one, so if you are in any way squeamish, you have been warned. Also, spoilers. Alright, so I first came across this book in the bookstore in Summit. I haven't heard of it before. And it looked interesting, so I decided to get the first one. But apparently this series has started in 2012. This is like a new edition of it. The other editions, it's the same picture, but this one's like all red for some reason. And now I realize that I know who this kid is after reading it. It's not who I thought it was originally. But yes, anyway, back to the point. So it looked interesting, and also there's that perfect for Harry Potter. Sorry, for fans of Harry Potter. So the story's like this. We have this young girl. She's 12 years old. Her name is Sophie. Since she was 5 years old, she's been suffering from telepathy. Or she has telepathic abilities. It's quite funny because the last Thoughts video I made was about Dead Until Dark by Charlene Harris. And the main character there is also a telepath. Though they're both different, but yeah. I found it quite funny after I started this one and found out. But anyway, since she was 5 years old and she had an accident, she fell and hit her head, she's been hearing everyone's thoughts. She can't block them at all. It's constant. Again, this is very similar to Suki Steakhouse as well. Until one day she's on a school field trip with her class. Now she's in high school, even though she's 12, because she's sort of a genius. Sort of. She has photographic memory, and she has photographic memory, and, listening in and everything, so she's very advanced. She's supposed to go to university, actually. And she's not very popular in school. She doesn't really have any friends. She doesn't have any friends. Yeah, and the older kids are a bit mean to her. She tries to be in the background, not to get any attention. But on that fateful day, she meets a boy, a 15-year-old boy named Fitz. He's reading the article that's about her in the newspaper. And when she meets him, that's when things start to completely turn. Fitz, tells her, she finds out when they meet that Fitz can also hear thoughts. He is also a telepath like her. Well, not exactly, but I'll get to that later. And she's obviously shocked, all her life she couldn't tell anyone. Because, everyone will think she's fucking crazy. But imagine her poor head and how her life is. She's shocked by all of this, and she runs out and almost gets hit by a car, but then some burst of power, a street lamp is about to fall on her, but with some power she manages to telekinesis, I think. Yeah. She grabs it, and she manages to hold the lamppost above her, and doesn't kill her, and then Fitz saves her. Then Fitz drags her with him and tells her that she's not human. She's an elf. You can imagine the poor girl's reaction. She thinks Fitz is crazy, which is a shame because she's like, finally a cute boy talks to me. Anyway, from there, Fitz comes back. He takes her to their world. So in this universe, the elves used to, they used to live with humans and everything, and all other sort of creatures. But you know how these things usually go. People wanted to start a war against them, so elves and all other magical creatures just disappeared into their own realm, and have left humans alone. And all these magical cities like Atlantis and Shangri-La, Shangri-La. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. I'm not even still sure what it is. I need to look it up. So all these cities used to be part of that, so they sank Atlantis, the elves, and so on and so forth. So the next day, she's almost kidnapped by someone, but she's saved by her neighbor. He's the one who also called an ambulance when she fell and hit her head when she was a little girl. Anyway, the next day Fitz takes her to meet his father, and to see all sorts of things. Apparently, his father has been looking for her for 12 years, and at this point in the book, sorry I'm cutting in here, but I wonder if Miss Messenger just couldn't decide if she wanted this to be entirely fantasy and also decided to sprinkle in some sci-fi. Because the way it works here, because they have her DNA. Now, normally when you think elves, you don't think DNA, right? But they have DNA in here, and they have, their paying method is very similar to essentially a credit card. They have this little green box, and they just hand it to someone to pay. So I was like, alright, that's definitely new. You don't see DNA in elves. I just wonder if Miss Messenger couldn't decide if she wanted that or the other and decided to do some combinations. Because it kind of put me out in sometimes. Because I'm like, okay, this is supposed to be fantasy, but why do you have stuff like, supposed credit cards and also DNAs? This doesn't seem to fit with the normal elf image. But then again, she's doing her own thing, so well done. Right, where was I? So yeah, she meets his father, Eldon. I'm not sure how to pronounce some of these names that they have here, so you'll have to forgive me if I mispronounce someone's name. So yes, but and that's the day where Sophie's life as a human ends, essentially. Because, Eldon takes her to all these places. They go to Atlantis, to confirm that she is, in fact, the girl they've been looking for 12 years. And yeah, she is, in fact, her. They have a cube with her DNA. Yeah. And then Eldon, keeping it from her until the last minute, she's never going back home. They're not going to let her. And they're going to... Yeah, they were never going to let her come back, which obviously devastates Sophie. Now, though, Sophie's a human family. She has her mom, her dad, and her little sister. Now, Sophie, life at home isn't easy for Sophie either, because she can hear everything her parents are constantly thinking. So, they wish she could have been normal, like her sister. And after she finds out that she's not human, she's like, Mom, am I adopted? But then her mom, has the memory of giving birth to her, so that's confusing. If she was adopted, she would have heard it long ago. Also, when she finally comes to the elves' world, she can't read their minds, really. So that's a big relief for her. Again, kind of like Suki Steakhouse. But she can read humans' thoughts because their minds are easier, as they say in this book. Anyway, they take her there, so yes, she cannot go back. They're gonna make it look like she died or something, and Sophie doesn't want that. She doesn't want her family to live with the idea that she died somehow or disappeared. There is another option that Eldon says they can erase their memories of her. They'll relocate her family and give them new memories. They'll forget about her. And Sophie agrees to that because she doesn't want her family to live with the pain of losing her. So that happens as well. Then she's now in their universe of elves, their world is perfect, almost a utopia, which immediately made me think things are about to get really shit. I don't know about you, but utopia scared the shit out of me. The more everything seems perfect in some world and completely peaceful, the more suspicious and terrified I am. So yeah, and here, like everyone are born and they have this huge fund of money and they don't have to work. But there's clear classism in here. There's like people are, based on their skills, that means what kind of stuff they can have, their talents. Which is a bit stupid. I mean, if they all, they get the same amount of money, why can't someone with a different lower talent can't wear fancy clothes? Seems a bit weird, doesn't it? I don't know, at least to me. Anyway. Alright, so afterwards, Sophie goes to this counselor, this council of elves. And they decide, what's going to be with her. She first meets only 3 council members to show her powers, and then she's going to go to this school that's like, it's called Foxfire, named after a fungus. So they decide that she will go. One member of the council is named Bornet. Bornet, I think. He's really against Sophie going to the school. He's against her in general. He's a bit of a prick, actually. And he doesn't want her in, but he gets overvoted. But they do. They're going to review her, continuing to learn in there, and at the school in a year. So then Sophie begins her life in the elves' world and going to school at Firefox. Now Eldon's request to adopt Sophie, so she'll be with him. And Fitz has a sister, Bianna. That's how you say that, and an older brother. And they also have their mom. So at first he wants to adopt her, but his request is denied. So some friends of his adopt her instead. Now those friends have lost their daughter Julie in a fire. Now the thing is, in the elf world, there's no death. People don't die, I think. It's a little confusing with that, because, does that mean that Eldon's parents and his grandparents and great-grandparents and great-great-great-great-great-grandparents are also still alive? How does that work, And they also have this weird rule where you can't have a few children at once. You have to give birth to one at a time. Because one of Sophie's friends later, Dex, that's him, by the way, has 3 siblings that were born as triplets. I don't know, maybe in later books it's explained why, but it seems really stupid. But again, I don't know. It might have a reason. Right, so Sophie moves in with them. Things are a bit tainted at first. Now, I mean, imagine those, their names are Gardy and Adeline, I think. Now, the thing is, imagine living in a society where death is not a thing that really happens. So they lost their daughter, and, they completely changed, and they used to be socialites and everything. I mean, just imagine, there's no one there that really understands them. There's no one they can go to for comfort. There's nowhere they can go and get help. There's no therapist in there that can help them. So they're all alone, and secluded from this. Also, Gardy works as this keeper of animals. They have dinosaurs and everything. There's a whole joke in there with dinosaurs, because everything Sophie knows is apparently wrong, and dinosaurs have feathers. I don't know. But yes, that's his job. He has a talent. Now they have talents in this book. Gardy's a mesmerizer. It can make people do things. Adeline, I don't. Oh, she's conjurer. Anyway, she can make things if she knows where they are. She can make them appear right in front of her. Now, and Sophie is a telepath. Now, Sophie isn't just any telepath. She's one of the strongest telepaths that I've ever seen. And Eldon asks this former council member to come and teach her. He refuses to teach anyone else, but for her, he agrees. Another thing is no one can read Sophie's mind at all. All those who attempt it, they can't breach her mind, which is unheard of. Also, telepaths, they have their own strict rules. They're not allowed to read each other's minds without permission. All that stuff. So anyway, Sophie starts her year at Foxfire. She makes friends, Dex among them. And through her school year, she tries to pass tests and everything and learn abilities and all that and worry about where she's going to be. If she's going to be adopted by Gardy and Adeline and all that. And now along the ways there's this organization. We learn that Sophie might not have parents. As I read this, I did wonder and theorize, is Sophie, is maybe she's some hybrid? Maybe that's why they can't read her mind. But no, Sophie was created. Her embryo or DNA was manipulated to create her to be the way she is. That's why she has brown eyes. Most elves have blue eyes. Rarely, or if at all, no one has brown eyes. That's what I mean again, where I wonder if the Miss Messenger just couldn't decide if she wanted science fiction or fantasy. Because if this was, purely fantasy, I assume the way they would do it is Sophie would have been some kind of hybrid. An elf that mated with some sort of other creature to create, to create someone that might be immune to mind reading. That's how I would imagine it. But yes, she was created and kept a secret by this organization called the Black Swan. They're this group of rebels. And throughout her, she's in the elf world for around 8 months. So around that time, they keep sending her things and messages, essentially getting her in trouble because the things they want her to do are breaking laws. But, and I forgot to mention this at the beginning. At the beginning of the book, there's all these fires going on in the human world. These unexplained weird fires that they can't seem to put out. And these fires are not regular, they're magical. And of course, as always in these stories, the council doesn't want to get involved until they have more proof and yada yada yada. Hey shit, when I got to some parts, I was like, you guys are fucking useless. So yes, Sophie, as the months go by, she gets all these memories, all these commands. So the Black Swan made her. And as it turns out, her parents, her human parents, did in fact give birth to her. Because they had trouble getting pregnant, they went to this doctor who was probably an elf and part of the Black Swan. And he put the embryo in, and so that's why Sophie didn't figure out she was not a human before. So that's that. Now she finds out all these things, and Eldon, helps her along the way. Well, doesn't help, he's investigating. And Sophie gets all these things, and she goes to him and tells him. She has to log in her memories. Not easy on the poor girl. Now, when we get to, more into the halfway, it's already been some months. The finals are coming. Sophie's life gets more hectic. She tries to, I don't know what she does, but she almost gets killed a few times and strains her relationship with with Adeline and Gardy, not Grandy. I always want to call him Grandy, but it's Gardy. because obviously they're traumatized after what happened to their daughter, and Sophie being such a trouble for a magnet for trouble isn't helping them, and she sees that, and then one of these times, after the Black Swan makes her collect this forbidden material, the Everblaze fire. They make her collect that, so that gets her in trouble as well. So yes, it puts a strain on the relationship with them. And she finds out one morning when they're gone on some errands that they canceled their adoption of her. So you can imagine how she feels and how they feel. And then after the whole incident with the Everblaze, she comes home and she goes to... They have some caves where they live. Heavenfield is where she lives. And, everything. And she also, that day, she also finds out that Biana, Fitz's sister, the boy who, initially brought her there, he only did that because his father told him to. His father wanted him to do it so it would be less suspicious. Because there'd be someone Sophie's age. Fitz is a telepath and his dad is a telepath. So Biana at first doesn't really like Sophie at all. She seems to be happy when she finds out Sophie's not going to live with them. And she's quite hostile to her at school as well. And then she finds out this one elf girl is also a prick. I'm not going to try to even pronounce her name, but she finds out that Biana has befriended Sophie only because her dad asked her to. But, that was the beginning. I think along the way, Biana really does like Sophie and wants them to be friends. But obviously, Sophie's crushed, when she realizes that. And that day when she comes home and and she also has a fight with her friend Dex, her best friend. So she goes to the caves with she also has this pet, Iggy. I forgot what kind of creature he's supposed to be, but never mind. She gets kidnapped along with Dex. And at first it seems like it's the Black Swan, but it's not them. It's another group of rebels. They also can't get into her mind, and they also want something from her. And one talent they have here, they have a talent that's forbidden, that's pyrokinetic. The ability to control fire. It's a forbidden ability. I think it might have... I did wonder along the book if maybe what happened to Julie had to do with that as well. I'm wondering still. Maybe we'll find out later on. Because there's a fire. Julie, Guardian Adeline's daughter, was about 20 when she died. When she was killed in the fire. There's a fire in her house with her fiancé. He barely made it out alive himself, but I wonder if that was a regular fire. If it doesn't have anything to do with that. Maybe later on we'll find out. But, yes, she's get kidnapped by these other group of rebels that want to destroy the human race. I don't know what the Black Swan's purposes are yet, whether they wanted Sophie, it seems like, to rescue the human race, to stop the fires, to bring proof to the council. There she gets kidnapped. One of them is a pyrokinetic, and he actually burns Sophie and tortures her. He doesn't know what to do with her. He wants to kill her. And he also says, he's going to kill Dex as well. Sophie, now everyone assumes Sophie and Dex are dead. Because in the caves there was a tidal wave and their pendants were the only thing that stayed. While she's kidnapped, Iggy manages to escape and she sends him a command to call Adeline to get help. Someone. Unfortunately, it doesn't help. And then she's transmitting while she's in captivity. She's trying to transmit to Fitz to come and help her, but he doesn't believe it. He thinks she's dead. He's just hearing things. It seems like everything's hopeless, but then Sophie is saved by someone. And that someone is her neighbor, the one who called. And now he's an old man, and in this universe, elves, even when they get old, they still look young. The only thing that changes are their ears. So he's the one who saves her, and he also saves Dex. She's not willing for them to go until he doesn't save Dex as well. Her old neighbor brings them both outside, and he leaves a note to Sophie, and he gives her and Dex some medication, and then he skedaddles out of there. And Sophie wakes up. She and Dex are in Paris. She only finds that out when they travel some and they see the Eiffel Tower. And that's where they learn that Sophie also has another ability. She can pick up languages like that. Because Dex asked her, what were you saying there? She asks a person a question there. I think for directions or something. Was it? And she said, well, I was speaking English. And he says, yeah, I know English, but you weren't speaking English. Then when she sees the Eiffel Tower, she's realized she was speaking French. Now, all that her neighbor left her to help them was some instructions, some words. So they go into a cafe, Sophie searches these words, and they realize they mean that she has to go to this bridge and look for a lamppost. So she and Dex go there, they search until they find out that one lamppost has a crystal. The way they travel is they use crystals like these in devices called pathfinders. They use that, and they just travel. They travel with the light. The light transfers their body. Anyway, she and Dex find one. They're like, yeah, we can go home now, but we have to wait till morning. But unfortunately, the kidnappers and the other group of rebels arrive and grab her. And things look glum again. They have these weapons that they can shoot at them, and then they will give them permanent damage. And it's starting to grab them again. It looks like it's all doomed. They're going to be dragged back. But then Dex manages to free himself. Dex learns that he might have the ability to empathize with technology. Be able to control it. Because that's how he gets the money out of an ATM. Okay, that's useful too. Yeah, so he breaks some of his bonds and he tries to help Sophie, but unfortunately, they use that weapon on him a few times. And, Sophie's terrified. And she gets so full of hatred towards the kidnappers. One of them was the guy who tried to kidnap her in the beginning of the book. But her neighbor intervened. So Sophie also learns that she is an inflictor. She can inflict pain. Because suddenly she feels this energy in her head, this hatred. And then when it clears up, the three kidnappers are lying on the ground, groaning in pain. She goes to Dex, she grabs him, she starts walking with him, carrying him, and she realizes they have to get out of there. Now, she grabs from one of the kidnappers, she takes his Pathfinder, and she starts to use it. Sophie has a problem. Her concentration is not good yet for her age. So she can't travel without this thing called a Nexus. It's a bracelet you wear on your arm, and it keeps you together until you can learn to concentrate well enough without it. But when they were kidnapped, everything was taken from them. Necklaces, everything. So Sophie starts to try to transfer them back to the elves' world. And she almost dies in the process. Because she uses all of her concentration to protect Dex. And barely any for herself. And when she gets them there, she transmissions to Fitz again to get him to come and find them. Oh, turned off. Anyway, Fitz finally arrives. She loses consciousness, and she wakes up again hearing Fitz's voice. Fitz is there, and she's very weak. And she remembers Dex, but he tells her, don't worry, Another one of her friends, his name is Keefe. He's Fitz's best friend. He already took him back to the elves world. Now the resident school healer comes over. He comes there. Because of what Sophie did, her body is starting to fade away. That's why they have to wear a nexus. Because if they don't, those who can't concentrate, they'll just fade away and die, I assume. So, but it's okay. Sophie survives. Somehow. I mean, this girl's indestructible. But she makes it. She doesn't die. And she wakes up again. Everyone's obviously happy to see her. Guardian Adeline, ooh, those poor guys. I mean, they lost one daughter and they almost lost another daughter. So yes, everyone are happy to see her. They've already, while they were kidnapped, they already told that they already had apparently funerals for her and Dex. Oh, Dex's poor parents. I can't imagine what they must have went through. Thinking their eldest son is now dead. But yeah, anyway, it's oh well. Sophie made it. And she has 2 new abilities as well, so that's going to take some more learning for her. And now there's a tribunal, is what they call them here, to determine her fate, because she has broken many laws. Now, Bornet is still obviously against her, but the council decides to, write in her record the rules she broke, but say that she served her punishment already. And now it comes to the time to determine if she can continue studying at Foxfire. Now, she almost doesn't because she has failed alchemy, but to be fair, if you had a teacher like hers, you'd fail alchemy as well. But then, because she's an inflictor, in order to apply to Foxfire again, she has to not to pass, but to be, to attend 8 subjects. So next year she's going to attend Infliction with Borton. That's going to be an interesting year for poor Sophie, I can assure you. And that's it. All ends that ends well. The final thing they had to decide is if she's going to if she's going to stay with Eldon and his wife, Adela, her name was, or if she's going to stay with Gardy and Adeline. She chooses to stay with them, which is good for everyone, for them and for her. That way she'll have new parents to love, and they'll have a new daughter. And that's it. That's where it ends. Now to see what happens in Sophie's future. Oh, holy shit, this is a long video. Yeah. So this was overall a very fun read. I enjoyed reading it. Again, I was taken out occasionally when we had, talks of DNA and everything. Because I thought this would be strictly fantasy. Now, I want to talk about, this thing here. They put perfect for fans of Harry Potter. And I have to say that I disagree with that. Now, I get it. It's sort of the same basis of there's a magical school. But it's not really that much like Hogwarts. Or neither is Sophie. In Harry Potter's world, we didn't have all these talks of DNA and science, for instance. So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say this is really exactly that perfect for Harry Potter fans. I think this is good for fantasy fans, sure, but I don't know. If you loved Harry Potter, I don't know how much you'll enjoy this, because the school system is different as well, and the way Harry is as well, and then everything else in the world, because they cannot go back to the human world at all. So if you hear any noise... Yes, sorry, that's my grandma. They cannot go to the human world at all. It's forbidden. That's what the forbidden cities are. They're the human world cities. Sorry, just a second. So yeah, I don't know. I disagree with that sticker. That's perfect for Harry Potter fans. But I guess maybe they stuck it there to sell some more books or something. Look, if you love fantasy books and all these adventure stories, I think you'll enjoy this very much. It's very thick. It's like 500 pages, but it flies by, really. At least it did for me. So I enjoyed this a lot, and I already do have the second book. I'm going to continue it. I'm going to read it. And, sorry. Been talking for a long while. So yeah, I'm going to continue this one. I think this will be a fun series to read. Now, the ninth and 10th book are actually maybe supposed to come out this year. So we'll see how it goes. By the end of the book, Sophie's already 13. Because the elves, they don't really celebrate birthdays because they live for such a long time. So I guess it's not really significant to them, every year. I don't know if they celebrate them at all, though. But yeah. Anyway, overall, a pretty good fantasy series. At least the first book is. I'll see how they go. I'll read the second one and then see if I want to continue. But I can say I very much enjoyed the first book. And yes, that's it. And I do have to say these covers are pretty neat too. If I do continue on to the third one, I might buy an edition that has pictures inside of it. That's kind of nice. This edition doesn't. And the second book I have is also from this edition as well. Alright. So that is it, folks. So let me know what you thought of this one. Have you read this book? What did you think of the series? Do you think elves should be combined with DNA? Or more like fantasy? Should be combined with science fiction? I mean, maybe it could work. Never read something that combined that. And that is it. Remember, collect what you're passionate about and share it on YouTube. Bye!